developer evangelist, but we do have external titles as well. So what you see in the agenda, that is my external title. Because sometimes it gets me into trouble telling people that I'm an evangelist. Even my colleagues in Australia, they get into trouble as well, because then we get a question as to whether what we do is really religious or not. We tell them, no, there's nothing religious about what we do, right? It's just technology. So that's what it's about. That's my tag on Twitter. Just now, my colleague is actually in the room, and she was actually scanning through all of the tweets in the WCMY, and someone had a cheeky comment. He actually said, I'm actually looking forward to this guy from Microsoft presenting because I can't wait to see him using a Mac. The Mac is still there, and there's a Lenovo that's running here on stage. Sorry to disappoint you. I am running Windows. But some of my colleagues in Redmond, because they work in the civil line team or whatnot, so they do use Macs as well. So not to say that we all use only certain type of PCs. Now, what you see here, Microsoft loves WordPress, because otherwise we won't be here, right? We totally love WordPress, and we've done a lot of things with WordPress. So if you are thinking about why is Microsoft doing this, there's actually a good place that actually talks about that, all of that. And if you go over to this slide here, WordPress or Microsoft, I'll be sending all this posts out. Maybe I'll just post a link over on my Twitter to my blog, and it's got all these links that you can check it out later. So you can see that over in my Internet Explorer here, I've got tons and tons of web pages that's opened up already. So in this one, it's all about telling people how you can actually run WordPress with Microsoft on the web platform and also onto the cloud. So we're bringing this to the next level. It's not just beyond what runs locally, what runs in your web hoster, but we're also bringing this to the next level to have it run in the cloud. And that's part of my presentation as well. Okay? So a while back, that was in November last year, I was actually in PDC, that is a professional developers conference. And we actually invited
developer of WordPress.
Founder.
Is one of the most successful and pervasive blogging systems in existence today, used by tens of.
So this is the chief software architect of Microsoft Corporation. That's Ray Ozzie. He was actually inventor of Lotus Domino and whatnot. So if I just fast forward, I don't mean to show you this whole video, but if you take a look further down, there you go. That was at a professional developer conference. We have more engagement with WordPress. And this wasn't just the one and only time where we got WordStage on Press, but this was definitely a milestone in our collaboration with WordPress, because that's when Matt actually brought a partner on stage to talk about what they've actually done on Windows Azure. Windows Azure is Microsoft's public cloud offering, right? And there's a good reason for using that. It was actually this company called, I'm not too sure if you guys are familiar with this, I Can Has Cheese burger, right? There's a lot of funny things in there. The one that I particularly like is actually this one, I has a hot dog, right? So the thing about all these sites is that you never really know when there's going to be a spike, right? Same goes for this type of blogs, but there's also blogs which is like political blogs, for instance. You never really know when you get a spike, right? Like RPK, he never really knows when he's going to get a spike on his website. And the worst thing is for your visitors to be turned away because the computing infrastructure cannot actually support that additional traffic that's coming in. And that's where cloud really makes sense. Now, cloud is not just about normal web hosting, okay? How I can actually explain this in a very simple manner is that imagine cloud as a rubber band. And this rubber band represents the computing resources and storage. You can stretch that rubber band, but when you don't need those resources anymore, you just let go of that rubber band, it shrinks back to whatever it was before that. And you pay for what you use. So for a site like this, it's very important to them, because they can't just buy servers when there's a spike, and then when there's no more spike, return those servers. There's no way they can do that. Even with a web hosting company, you pretty much sign up for a contract, and that's it, right? You can't just say, here you go, I don't want these servers anymore. But with cloud, it's all about that. The analogy I like to draw is like paying for electricity, paying for water bill. Everything is metered billing, and you pay for what you use. So these guys actually did that, And they actually had a block called Oddly Specific. So this is one of the blocks within that network that has been deployed and is running on Windows Azure, which is our public cloud offering. Okay. All right, I'm gonna go back to my slide. This was the video which I already showed. So WordPress has been running on the Windows platform for years. What do you mean by Windows platform? As in running in the Microsoft web server called Internet Information Server, IIS. It's been running there for years. And we made it a lot simpler for people, right, to actually run this. Because we've got this tool here called Web Platform Installer. And running a WordPress site on a Windows platform is just a piece of cake. Now, why would you like to do that? Now, we also understand that in terms of the demographics of the developers, like this morning, I think David actually asked what are developers. I'd like to see a show of hands again. Who among you guys are developers in the room? Show of hands. As you see more hands now, I was sitting at the corner, I didn't quite see that many hands. But we also realized that a lot of developers, right, yeah, I see a lot of Macs or whatnot, but there are still a lot of developers who develop on the Microsoft web platform, right? They will at least use a Windows XP, Windows Vista, or especially now Windows 7. So they do run that, and we want to make it easier for them to try these things out on their own machine. So I'm going to show you what the web platform installer actually looks like. So this is it. It's a very small tool that you can download if you go to microsoft.com/web. If I can just go back to that. Okay, let me get up here. Oh, it's hiding. Let's just run that web platform installer. But you know where to get this? It's actually on microsoft.com/web. Okay, when it runs, this thing pops up. It's a very easy way for you to provision any type of applications or any type of plugins that you want to be installed onto your machine so that you can actually do your own local development, local testing. Once you've tested everything out to be fine, and that's just a very simple way for you to FTP this or just deploy or provision this with your web hoster. So the first thing what it does here is that it goes over to the web and it pulls in all of the latest web applications available. And the great thing is that WordPress is actually one of those web applications that you can download. And when it comes out of the box, we don't change anything. It's essentially running PHP. It's using MySQL as a database. The only thing that's different is that it's running on top of our web platform, which is powered by IIS, the web server, right? Everything else remains the same, and it's a very, just a few little steps to configure it, and you'll be up and running. So I think my internet connectivity here is pretty slow. I think everyone agrees to that. Let me just show you, once I provision my site, how does it look like? So this is a place where you can download it. So microsoft.com/web, and you just have to say get started to download the web platform installer. Once you have that, so essentially you'll be looking at this. So this is running localhost WordPress. I think the resolution is a bit, but now you can see that, right? Localhost WordPress, but how would you know if this is not running on Apache? So I'm going to show you that this is indeed running off Internet Information Server. So as you can see under my default website here, I have WordPress. Okay, there you go. So it's a bunch of PHP files, and this is no smoke in the mirrors. There are all a bunch of PHP files in there, and it talks to MySQL. Everything runs as it is. Okay, so it's very simple for you to just get this running on the Microsoft platform. Again, to remind you why you want to do that, to do your own local development testing, and then you can actually publish and deploy this onto the web. Okay. So what's next? If this is a piece of cake, how else are we playing well with the developers in here? These are not the traditional or the conventional developers that Microsoft talk to, right? These are mostly PHP guys. So we have a bunch of interoperability bridges, and these are actually meant to bridge the application to the Microsoft Web Platform as well as to anything we have on the cloud as well. So there are a whole bunch of projects available. So again, I have to bring you back to the website. So there is a website here. It's pretty long, but it's essentially what I've just mentioned, interoperability bridges. And in here you can find samples for PHP with web slices, if you want to take a look at what other projects are available, you can actually get